There are a couple common problems that fish keepers run into when they're starting out that if you can avoid, you can easily go from having trouble in killing fish to breeding more fish in no time at all. And today I'm going to share 3 tips to help you sort of jumpstart your hobby and get to that elevated level of fish keeping faster. So the first tip I'm going to give you is how to combat what I think is the most common disease that really wipes out fish for beginners, and that's ick. And ick is a disease that I treat with this medication, which is called IckX. I get it at aquariumcoop.com. I'll link it in the description down below. If you don't know what it is or haven't seen it before, it basically looks like a sprinkling of salt or sugar on usually the tail fin and at sometimes the whole body of the fish. I'll try to pull up some pictures. I haven't had an ick outbreak in a long time, but this is a disease that can quickly spread through your tank and can wipe out an entire tank of fish in a day or a couple of days. I had it happen once with a group of about 30 neon tetras. I went from 30 neon tetras to 0 in a 24-hour period. So IckX is a medication that I've found is very effective in wiping out ick. I've had an entire tank full of ick. I treat it with IckX and I don't lose any of the fish. And I think ick is really a disease that can discourage people and get people out of the hobby, because when you get a disease that wipes out your entire fish tank, sometimes you just decide, I'd rather not set it up again, I don't want to kill any more fish. But I highly recommend you get IckX just for that extra line of safety. I feel like if you have it on your shelf ready to use, karma might play in your favor and you might just never get ick. But better safe than sorry. Highly recommend IckX. Another common problem that a lot of beginners run into, and I ran into as a beginner, is selection of filtration. So when you set up your first aquarium, you're probably going to be looking at some kind of kit setup that comes with some sort of power filter, a hang-on back filter. And hang-on back filters can be effective in some scenarios, but with a lot of fish, a hang-on back is going to counter a lot of positives that come with other types of filtration. I use all sponge filters now because sponge filters are a gentler form of filtration that are safe for baby fish. I've had some species of fish actually get sucked up by power filters just because they're too strong even for the adults. The Corydoras fibrosis that I have in my 20 high, when I first kept Corydoras fibrosis, they started disappearing from the tank and I didn't know where they went. All of a sudden I found 5 cories in the back of my hang-on back. And it was issues like that that slowly led me to realize maybe I shouldn't be using hang-on back filters. Now, sponge filters are a little more complicated to set up and they require more than one purchase to fully assemble the filter. But once you get them going, you'll see a lot of benefits. You'll see no babies getting sucked up in the filter if you're having babies. I would say they just simply filter more effectively. You don't have to maintenance them as often, and maintenance is much easier. You don't have to buy replacement cartridges or anything like that. So really, if you want to start out a leg up on everyone else, start with sponge filters. It's like a really basic change you can make, but it can make all the difference in the world in just leading to like 20% more success, but 20% more success in your aquarium can be the difference between having 100 babies and having your fish not breed at all. Another key, I think, to leveling up your fish keeping abilities as a beginner is to keep live plants. I think live plants are something that, to someone who's never kept them before, they're kind of looked at as, I don't know, I guess the possibilities aren't as considered as I think they should be. Now that I keep live plants, there's no question, every aquarium I ever set up, I keep live plants in. They have so many benefits. They remove nitrates, ammonia, nitrite from the water. They provide cover for the fish. They provide cover for fry. In this tank, if I don't feed them enough, they graze on the plants because the fish are primarily herbivorous. And live plants are just something that has a ton of positives and basically no negatives. And the earlier you get started keeping live plants, the more successful you're going to be, and the more quickly you'll get to not only having tanks that are healthier, but also having tanks that look great. Because live plants just provide a more natural feel and really complete your tank. When someone comes into your room or your house and sees a tank with nice plants and nice fish, they'll be impressed. They'll be like, wow, you really know what you're doing here. And what other people think doesn't really matter, but it is kind of nice to get a little recognition that, oh, you're actually taking this seriously, and it'll just lead to your hobby being elevated to another level. So highly recommend to keep live plants. Some of the best plants that I would recommend for beginners would be things like Java Fern, Anubias. I think I would almost recommend Italian Val or Jungle Val. It's a little more difficult, but if you can get it going, it's a really great plant as well. Yeah, and stay tuned for a video in the future. I'm probably going to focus a little more on live plants in a dedicated video, but live plants are really key to just overall upgrading your hobby and making your tanks look great at the same time.